Welcome to a new edition of Human Dialogues. I'm Jessica Lockhart, Director of the International Institute of Humanology, and I'm thrilled to have a new guest in our show today. Alexandra FAY is a coach, I would say a holistic coach, who approaches human beings, like we do in Humanology, in a very integral, complete way. She is also trained by us in optimism coaching, which she mixed and merged together with her practice. But she's not here today as an optimism coach or as a coach. She's here today because we're talking about migration and because she was born in one country and actually lives and works in a different one. And we want to hear her testimonial. Welcome, Alexandra. So happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be with you here.
I am really excited to hear what you have to say because being a coach and being an optimism coach, you're going to be able to also relate and express things with a lot of clarity, I am sure. So I just said, Alexandra, that you were born in one country, you live in another one. Would you like to tell our audience a little bit about your life story so they can understand what it is like?
Yeah, of course. So right now I'm living in Switzerland, in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. And originally I'm coming from Germany. And I have lived in a couple of other different countries. And you may say, oh, there is not a big difference between Germany and Switzerland, probably. But what I found is that even when it's like similar, it is different. And that makes it even more tricky. Like when I was living in India, it was easy because I knew it's completely different. So I would really be careful how I'm acting, how I'm speaking. But being in a very similar country, it makes it sometimes really difficult because there are these small nuances in life which are different. And when you're new to the country, you probably won't know.
Well, that's very interesting because one of the things we usually say is that you don't need to change countries to migrate. Sometimes you move from one region of the country to another one, and the culture is completely different there. Look at Switzerland. They have 4 different official languages, and their culture is totally different. I'm very happy that you mentioned this because, yes, people might say Germany and Switzerland are quite similar. But for those of us who live here, we know that, for example, the German-speaking part of Switzerland has almost nothing to do with the French-speaking part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And because I've always, I used to live in France, so I know this mixture. And I'm from the southwest of Germany, so just very close to Strasbourg. So I know the French quite well, I think. So for me, that was really very helpful when I came to Switzerland.
Yeah, see, it's funny because not only do we have similar life stories and we live in Switzerland, both of us, but you also have children who grew up here. And that's a topic we're going to be addressing in one of our human conversations in Spanish on the 22nd of November. Okay. We're going to be talking to people called third culture kids. Would you say that your children are third culture kids? These are the children who don't have a specific determined kind of culture because they lived in so many, they're outside one single definition. Are your children like that?
No, I wouldn't say because her father, he is Swiss. So they have the Swiss culture and they have the German culture, but they have like the Swiss German culture because their father is more Swiss German. He is bilingual, but more Swiss German. They have like my German culture, but not fully because I have adopted a lot to where we live. And then they have the French, like the Swiss Romand culture. And they are fully integrated in school here. And I think this makes a big difference if the kids are going to a local school or if they are going to an international school. Because when they are in an international school, then it's kind of this mixture, the third culture you were talking about. But when they are actually in the local schools, then they mix with locals and they really become a part of the local culture and community.
Yes, I agree with that. I think that you're absolutely right. And I have third culture kids in my case. I wanted to ask you something that I'm going to be asking all our guests. And I think it somehow might be related to what you just said, but I would like to know if you would care to share with our watchers, with our listeners, what was the hardest part in moving from country to country for you? What was or what has been the hardest aspect?
It's difficult to say for me because I never find it really hard. So I mean, of course, you take a risk when you move to another country, and you never know if you will integrate well. But I'm that kind of person. I almost always integrated really well because I have, like, I believe that you really have to mix up with the local people. Mm-hmm. And this you are doing when you become a part, like a member of a club, or, you know, you really participate in it, and it takes time. If you don't rush it, and then it's really, it will work. So it's difficult for me what was the hardest, because I think if you give yourself the time, you know, for integration, and you do it in an active way, then it's really working well.
Okay, so you mix with the local community, which is related to what you were saying about your children.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you lived in India and now you live in Switzerland. I take it that you already spoke French when you came here, but I suppose you didn't speak the local language in India. Did that make a difference?
Yes and no, because I was in the south of India, and there most people, they speak English. I mean, they speak their local language, but they speak English. They don't speak Hindi. So I with my English, it was really okay. So I could mix a lot with the local people. And also there in India, I had no German, no English friends or whatsoever. I was really like living with Indian people around me, and all my friends were from India. So also even there, I kind of really, jumped into it, and I was connected with the local people. And that's also what I'm doing here now. I don't have, I mean, I have some German friends here, but not because they're German, but because there are so many of them in Switzerland. So you kind of can't avoid them. But I really like almost all my friends. They are from Fribourg, where I'm living from here. And they're, most of them, there are French speaking. Mm-hmm. And yes, I already spoke French. But when I came to Fribourg, my French was very rusty, because I was like, after the A-levels, I went to France as an au pair, and then I was fluent in French, but afterwards I kind of didn't speak it regularly anymore. So I could understand a lot, but speaking was quite tricky, and that needed a lot of courage to just participate, you know, in the conversations and not feeling bad about it or like an outsider or an idiot because I wasn't capable. Mm-hmm. But also there, no, with the time it came back, and now I'm just jumping from German to French to English, and I just love it.
So I guess you would then recommend people who move to a different country or an area where they don't speak the local language to learn the language, to mingle with the locals as part of their integration, and that will make things easier. And then if you were to suggest another recommendation, but this time based on one of the most positive aspects, one of the most positive results of your moving countries, what would you say has been something extremely positive in this experience of yours?
Extremely positive is, I think you need to adapt to and accept a new culture. Like, you need to respect the new culture. There may be some values from your own culture you don't want to let go or give away. Okay, but you really need to respect the new culture and live their way. So if you speak the language, as you said, I think this is like the most important thing, that you really learn the language, because then people, they open up. If you don't speak the language, why shall they accept you? Because they have their friends, they have their surroundings, they don't need you. So you need to be open. And if you can speak the local language, then they will accept you. And if you respect the culture. So if I would be here and like not accepting that people, but when I invite them, so this is probably one example, when I invite them, if I invite a Swiss German, I know they will be on time. If I invite like a Roman, like so French speaking Swiss, I know they will come 15 minutes later. And it's not to me to change that and like tell them, because in Germany we are also on time, to tell the Roma that they need to be on time when they come to me. No, I just know, I accept it. And I think this acceptance of the new surrounding, this is what helps a lot.
So are you telling us then that one of the keys might be not trying to turn people around and accept your way of seeing things and acting, but just letting yourself go with the flow?
Yeah, and then, yeah, exactly. And I think when you let yourself go with the flow, but you stay yourself, I think it's really important also to be your authentic self in this process. And then you will find in any country people who will match.
Mm-hmm.
Really, yeah.
I fully agree. Okay, so these are the basic questions I wanted to ask you. Is there anything else you would like to share with everyone who is going to be watching us? Because there will be all kinds of people watching this interview. We'll have those who migrated, those who might want to migrate, and those who are afraid of migrating. Any last recommendation or comment you would like to make?
Yeah, I would just say, take it as an opportunity. It is always an opportunity. And when you are open to the new things, they will come. So just stay open-hearted, open-minded, and then everything will be fine.
Well, thank you so much, Alexandra, for this very warm and human interview. I couldn't agree with you more than I already do. I think that it is moving and migrating is maybe not for everyone, because for some people it is really, really, really hard, and they are so attached to their culture that it's hard for them to welcome a new one and change their ways. But I think it's important to also listen to those who've already done it and who found it positive and enlightening. So this was another edition of Human Dialogues. I am Jessica Lockhart. Thank you for watching. Please share, please comment, and we'll see you in future editions of Human Dialogues from the International Institute of Humanology. Bye.